Good morning. Today I wanted to show you roses in my garden. I've got now more of them in bloom. Here you can see the first flower on my poet's wife. And this one is a climber from David Austin, the Pilgrim. It is 2 years in my garden and it's already taller than a fence, so I'm really happy with how it's growing. Here I can show you some flowers. It's only starting to bloom now. But there's lots of hips on the Pilgrim, so hopefully I will have a lovely display quite soon. And the next one here you can see Lady of Shalott, and just behind it I've got Candyland. Both of those roses are really liked by the birds in my garden. I often see the birds sitting on those branches, which I found a bit surprising because I didn't know that the birds would sit on small shrubs like this, especially if they don't have very strong stems. I do get quite a lot of birds in my garden. I will put a photo on it a bit later so that you can see what I mean. Yeah, and Candyland is one of the favorite roses in my garden. I mean the favorite for my friends, because obviously all roses in my garden are my favorite because I chose them to be in my garden. And I'm really happy with how they grow this year. So that's Lady of Shalott. And Candyland. And if you look at the branches at the top there, this is where the birds like sitting on quite often. And next one here is Thomas à Becket. It's only starting to bloom now. Last year I was picking some of the flowers to take home from Thomas à Becket, and one of the blooms lasted for me 6 days, so I was really surprised with that, because I think normally from Austin's we get 3 days. Another time when I picked up some blooms from Thomas à Becket, they lasted only 3 days, and they both looked quite similar to me. I mean, in the same stage of being open as a flower, so not sure like what could be the reason why sometimes they would last for me 6, sometimes 3 days, but I bet there's a lot of factors to take into account, so I don't see any pattern here. And this one is quite in flower, but it's been a bit burnt by the sun because it's quite hot now. And here's Gertrude. Here where it is planted, it is actually in full sun, but I heard some reviews that are suggesting that Gertrude might be doing a bit better if you plant it maybe where she's got a bit less sunlight, where she gets morning sun or maybe partial shade, because then she might be doing a bit better when fighting off black spot. But unfortunately I heard this after I planted my Gertrude Jekyll, and it was much later. So here actually she is in full sun at noon and in the afternoon. Well, I think all roses prefer the morning sun, don't they? Olivia Rose Austin. next rose I wanted to show you is a new one. It's Baroness. It has got only one flower, but I really like the petals on this rose because like each flower has got different shades of pink and it looks quite nice. Well, we see what other flowers will be, because I know the first flower could be a bit different to others, but if all flowers will be like this, I will be really, really happy, like something a bit different. And next one is Princess Alexandra of Kent. I also often see the birds sitting on it, just like on Gertrude Jekyll also. Birds are liking to sit on it. And I don't know what they do on my roses, but I heard that birds like eating aphids. So I hope they do eat aphids of my roses. Next one is Gabriel Oak. And Strawberry Hill just behind it. And the next rose here is Crimson Cascade. It is a rose that can produce rose hips. So I will try to add a photo here for you, so that you can see what they look like. Yeah, with the rose hips, I've got a problem because, well, I was reading some information like which roses that I've got in my garden produce rose hips. However, when I stopped the Teddy May roses towards the end of August or at the beginning of September, I don't get as many rose hips throughout the winter on those roses. Some of them just died off, like most of them died off, or I never even get a rose hip from the flower. So I don't know why. I'm wondering, is it that the problem is that if you want to get rose hips, and a lot of them, you should be stopping that heading your roses after the first flush and just never have the second flush. I only wonder because sometimes if I kind of forget about one flower and then it never gets that headed, I do get a rose hip on it later in the year. So I don't get as many rose hips as I would like to. And then I like leaving them because, like I said, lots of birds come into my garden, so it's nice for them to have something to eat. But they do have also leather jackets in my garden to eat, and they did a lot of them. So that's Crimson Cascade. And then next to it, Eustacia Vi. I'm really happy with what it looks like now. Beautiful, lots of flowers. I know it's quite sunny now, although it is early in the morning, but I hope you can still see at least some of the flowers well. It is a beautiful rose. And then I've got next up Wharton Old Hall. Again, this is the rose that produces, well, it is said to produce rose hips, but I only got a few this year again. And I will put the photo somewhere in the corner for you to see what those rose hips look like. I'm just not sure what to do, like to get more of those rose hips here. But I really like the the flowers on Mullerton Old Home. And then here we've got Princess Charlene of Monaco hiding. She is a bit shy. Quite beautiful flowers on this rose. And here I can just see some blooms from distant drums. And next up is Golden Celebration. I am really happy with how it's growing now for me. Lots of flowers and they are quite big. Still some more buds to open. And I think she looks just gorgeous here, being paired with lavender. Okay, next rose. I'm not sure if I can tell you what the name of this rose is, because it was years ago I bought this on Amazon, and the rose I was going to order was Arthur Bell. However, this rose doesn't look to me like Arthur Bell. But I still really like the look of it. And this is also always one of the first roses to bloom in my garden. Normally she is in the competition with Gertrude Jekyll. So sometimes Gertrude Jekyll is first to bloom and sometimes is this rose. I really like it. It has got open flowers, and I don't have many roses like that have got open flowers. So nice addition to my garden anyway, even though I don't know what the name of it is. I'm not sure. And then we've got some more new blooms on Summer Song. And here is Grande Amore. It's a Cortez rose from Eleganza collection, the hybrid. And here you can see my Generous Gardener started to bloom now, so lots of flowers on it. What I like about Generous Gardener is I think it's one of those roses that will look good not only in a cottage style garden but also in a modern garden. In the modern garden. And Generous Gardener I kind of planted in what I could call a high traffic area where I often walk because it's very fragrant rose and I like just smelling it kind of naturally as I walk past. And it's also planted next to my decking where I often sit, so I can also smell it then when I relax in my garden. And the next rose I wanted to show you is new rose in my garden, Wildberry. Whiteberry is a rose from Tantau, and I think the outside petals will be a bit darker, and the inside petals will be lighter pink, which will look quite nice. The reason I wanted to show you this rose is because not long ago I noticed some signs of powdery mildew on it, so I got rid of the leaves that were showing those signs, and I hoped that was the end of the story. However, soon after I noticed also powdery mildew on my generous gardener here, but it was only the branches that were kind of here underneath the patio, so probably those branches being in the shade were also more vulnerable. So lots of leaves I had to cut out also with the buds, and I think I still have got here one leaf that is showing signs of powdery mildew. And I noticed powdery mildew on generous gardener only just after I planted Sir David Beckham here, just next to it. So now I am very worried about it, because obviously it's a new plant. I wanted to do well, and then, you know, it would be very disappointing if on its first year it would struggle with powdery mildew. I don't know why this problem occurred this year. I haven't had any issues with powdery mildew for 3 years now. And 3 years ago when I had it, it was on a Tantau rose called Nostalgia. Well, for now, I didn't have to get rid of any leaves from Sir David Beckham, but I keep checking every day and just keeping my eye on this one. In my front garden, I have got 2 roses in the pots for now, because I'm kind of testing them if they will do well there, because it's also like full sun there and quite hot. One of them is the Ancient Mariner, and yesterday I spotted some powdery mildew on the Ancient Mariner, so I had to get rid of some leaves. And the other one is Kilne Flora. It's a Cordes rose. I like it because it has got quite romantic blooms, and hopefully it will be quite a strong plant, resistant to black spot. So I'm going to show you them in a second, but then I just remind myself another rose I noticed powdery mildew on was, to my surprise, a Cordes rose, Champagne Moment. So I will show you. So that's Champagne Moment, and there are some leaves missing from the top that I had to get rid of. This rose has got beautiful leaves and dark green, emerald, shiny, and I wanted to even show you a picture of it, like from last November, how beautiful it looked like at the end of November. Still the leaves look the same, like no black spot on it whatsoever, and I was surprised. It was well, all Cordeses did quite well for me last year, but this one was the best. And this year, what? Powdery mildew. So I was very surprised. So I think I will go back and I will stop calling any roses healthy, because like they all get ill sometimes, don't they? So it's tough to say. It depends on the rain, sun, weather. It may depend on the year. So and here you can see New Dawn. So it's also the rose which is quite good for the rose hips. but New Dawn is getting quite big for my garden, so I was talking to my friend and maybe she will take it to her garden because she's got a big one. And in her garden this rose will have much more place to grow, and I could just get here like a smaller climber, something like Strawberry Hill or any other small climber. Okay, so I think that I will show you those roses now in my front garden.